It was one of the most brutal conflicts in Irish history. It was a fight for freedom that altered Ireland's reputation and culture forever. It was one of the most influential milestones into creating a new Ireland and creating a new national identity. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to If I Could Change the World, the dream of the Irish populace. Our journey in changing the world begins in 19th century Ireland. At this stage, Ireland had been subject to British rule for over 200 years. And this was the cause of numerous grievances and frustrations amongst Irish people. Well, as much as I hate to admit it, the English government treated the Irish people appallingly throughout the 19th century. And this wasn't just one incident. It was a collection of incidents over a number of years. The Home Rule Bill is considered to be the commencement of the build-up towards the Easter Rising. Devised in 1886, the Home Rule Bill was essentially allowing Ireland to have greater say in how it is governed. The bill failed to make legislation. It was introduced to British Parliament again, 7 years later. And again, it failed to make legislation. Consequently, many nationalists became disillusioned with parliamentary politics and concluded that extreme forms of separatism were necessary for an independent Ireland. The Home Rule Bill was essential in the Rising as it created disillusionment and frustration among Irish people in regard to England's parliamentary system. It brought about a revival of the repressed Irish culture, and people began to find a national identity which was incompatible with British rule. At this point, there were several groups determined to achieve Irish independence. These include the Irish Nationalist Party, the Irish Brotherhood, the Gaelic Athletic Association, and the Citizen Army. The incidents that particularly angered the Irish people include the British government's land clearance policy, the outlawing of Irish cultural activities, including music and education, laws restricting Irish Catholics from purchasing land and practicing many professions, including the defence forces and legal professions, as well as England's failure to assist Ireland in the potato famine.
I joined the nationalist movement after two incidents, the first being the potato famine. After witnessing so many of my Irish brothers left the country and witnessing the death of 1 million people, I realised that the English rule was purely detrimental to us people and that change was necessary. And after hearing England overtaxed Ireland by 15 million, I signed up directly for a separatist movement known as the Irish Brotherhood.
And then war. 1914, the Great War breaks out across Europe. This splits the movement in for Home Rule in two. So in 1916, while Britain was slugging it out on the Western Front, a group of radical protesters gathered above a tobacco shop in Dublin.
The plotters decided to obtain weapons from Germany. Even though this failed, they still decided to go ahead with the rebellion.
At about 11 a.m. on Easter Monday, the volunteers, along with the Irish Citizen Army, assembled at various pre-arranged meeting points in Dublin's inner city. Well, because at first, the British failed hopelessly in regard to the Rising's beginning. But as the week progressed, the fighting became very intense. Overall, the British authorities responded competently to the Rising. Reinforcements were speedily drafted in the capital, and by Friday, the 28th of April, the 1,600 rebels were facing 18 to 20,000 soldiers. On the 3rd of April, the British Army defeated the rebels. In total, the Rising cost 450 persons killed, 2,614 injured, and 9 missing. And almost all this occurred in Dublin. And anyone who was thought to be associated with the Rising was arrested. And 92 people were sentenced to death, including Patrick Pearse and James Connolly. The Easter Rebellion ended in a complete failure in achieving Irish independence, and on May 15th, the first batch of the rebel leaders were executed at the hands of the British. However, these rushed executions, as well as the mass arrests, fueled public resentment toward the British, and built support for the rebels and the movement for Irish independence. This led to the rebels being recognised as martyrs, and installed a sense of rebellion for the remaining Irish citizens for the need to change their world.
The fully independent Republic of Ireland was formally proclaimed on Easter Monday, April 18, 1949.
Today, even after many rocky years, Ireland is a prosperous nation with a proud culture and people who have benefited from this Easter Rebellion and the freedom it brought.
which has truly changed the world.